and we talked about it being vendors that we are looking at working with, and how we need to be able to bring all those vendors or vet all those vendors before we bring them on board. Now, we also talked about the fact that when we are dealing with third parties, or the way it goes on a day-to-day basis, or actually, can anyone remind me of where we go to? I just want to make sure we are all on the same page. Anybody remembers where we go to on a third party? Shalom, you are talking on mute if you are talking to us. Okay. Anyone remembers where we go to on the third party? Hey.
Was it vendor risk assessment?
Okay. Vendor risk assessment. Yes, Perez. Um, did we talk about how we do the assessment? We did review. I remember we did review the questionnaires. Right?
We started the questionnaires.
Which one did we start? The questionnaires, there are two types.
I think the internal.
Okay. So we did the IRQs. Anyone remembers any of the questions on the IRQ? Any of the questions that you remember on the IRQ? Let's talk about it a little bit before we move on. Michael Emmanuel is back again. Perez, sorry, go ahead.
To identify, was this? I know it has something to do with the reputation of the third party we're going to go into business with.
Okay.
If the vendor was critical or non-critical.
If the vendor is critical or non-critical. Okay, those are general questions that we are asking, but do you remember any of the specific questions?
I think there was a question about if the third party also had, I think it's vendors they were working with on their end that would impact us.
Okay,
or the organization.
True. And do you remember the name we gave to those people?
No.
We call them the fourth parties.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? I'm expecting some critical questions. So.
I think if people's PPI will be disclosed.
No PPI. Come again. Edwin, it's not PPI. Come again.
Basically, people's information depended on like their social security, address, stuff like that.
It's PI.
Okay, PI.
Yes. PI. So we mentioned that are they going to process PI? Yes, personal data information. That's true, Maddie. Anyone else? Okay. oh, go. So we have to start from there again. Yeah, we have to start from there again. So how they react to sudden threats also. Yes, that's also true, Maddie. Thank you. You see the process, the life cycle. Oh, Rachel, it's nice to see you. Oh, Nasha, it's nice to see you, and you went off camera again. Please come, please stay on camera for us. Now, the life cycle of third party is different. The life cycle of third party, or the third party risk management life cycle, we have the onboarding, ongoing, and offboarding. Now, when it comes to, or when you go for interviews, and please listen to me very well. I'm not supposed to go over this, but I'm taking my time to do it again for us. When it comes to going for interviews, they are going to ask you, okay, you have third-party risk management on your, yeah, you have been a third-party risk management analyst, yeah. Can you tell us about the process your organization goes through? Now you have to list the process. First, remember, they are asking you that as an analyst, you don't care about the whole life cycle. You only care about the assessment part of it because that's what you do. If you're a TPRM manager, you are just managing the assessment part of it. And the assessments have to do with the vendor tiering assessment and the vendor risk assessment. Vendor tiering assessment and the vendor risk assessment. And this morning, we'll leave Perez company, Perez Transport. You don't even remember the question, so today we are not going to deal with you. I'm going to go with Michael and Amanda for us in this class today. So you are the two that I'm going to use as an example for us. Now, we are saying that Michael is going to. Michael, which company are you working with we can use, or which company you are trying to establish, so we can use that as an example?
Michael.
Yes, Michael A. Michael D, I cannot see him, so I can't use him as an example.
Okay, so what company am I?
Or any company that comes to mind. Let's say you own a security agency.
Okay.
Amanda also has a hospital or works in the hospital as a TPRM analyst. Now, who else can we use that? Rachel. Rachel also is in charge of the security agency or the security department within the hospital that Amanda works in. Now, Christ is my defense company. Now, Amanda is our TPRM analyst. Rachel is the head of security in the hospital. So Rachel and Amanda are working in the same company. Michael is the one that owns his own security agency. And so Rachel comes off and Rachel says that, hey, I need a security agency. I need a security agency that can be able to manage our security affairs, and that the security people that we have in our company are not doing very well. Or the hospital has grown, and so we cannot afford to be able to have all these, so we need to be able to hire a security agency. So Rachel goes and does the research, and because Michael Della is here, we'll use Michael Della as an example. Now Rachel sees two Michaels who own security agency companies. One can provide 24-hour service, one can provide, let's say, security monitoring. So Rachel decides that, okay, for both of them, I want to bring both of them on board to work with the company. Now, Rachel will go to Perez. It's just I like you, so I have to use you like that. Rachel will go to Perez, who is maybe in charge of our procurement, and says that, hey, these are the companies that we want to be able to bring on board. Perez will tell Rachel, okay, no problem, but you need to go and see what are the checklists. These are the checklists you need to go through. One of them is that you need to go to Amanda's team and let Amanda's team conduct a background investigation on the two Michaels' company. Does that make sense? Before we can bring them on board. And so Amanda will reach out to Rachel majority of the time in an email, hey, Rachel reached out to Amanda. Hey, Amanda, nice meeting you. I just finished having a conversation with Perez from the procurement team, and he's telling us that we need to be able to submit call it a due diligence request, a DDR request. Don't forget, the name is due diligence or a DDR request. Now, Amanda will be like, oh yeah, definitely. I can send you the link for you to go to the portal or to go to the website and fill out the questionnaires for us so that we can begin the assessment. So Amanda will send Rachel the link for Rachel to complete that basic form. Now, what Rachel is completing, we call it intake form. Intake. We are just gathering information. And so Rachel will submit an official request. When they submit an official request, Amanda will review the request. The reason why we are making Rachel do this is because we want to be able to keep record of everything that is going on. So when he submits a request, Amanda will look at the request, review the request and everything that is in there, and make sure that what is in there, make sure that the information that is in there is in relation to both of the Michaels companies. Then Amanda can ask, are you bringing both of them on board? Yes. So you don't send the request when you are not sure of who you are bringing on board. Because he says that he wants one to come and do physical security, and maybe you want one to come and do cyber security. So he needs both. So she needs both of them. Then Amanda will say, okay, no problem. So Amanda will onboard. Then Amanda will send Rachel what we call inherent risk questionnaire or vendor tiering questionnaire. Now, the vendor tiering questionnaire is a question that is going to ask Rachel about the two Michael. So Rachel needs to fill one for Michael A and needs to fill one for Michael Della. Now Amanda wants to find out from Rachel, who are these vendors? Can you describe them? What kind of services are they going to provide for us? Do they need access to our system? Are they going to process PI? Are they provide us with manufacturing products? Now, and so there's a list of, it's almost about 50 to 60. Every organization is different. Then you can ask, how difficult is it to replace this vendor? Or is he the only vendor who can provide this kind of services? Now, if they are not available, or if their system goes down, how is it going to affect our environment? And all these things are questions that we have in the questionnaire. The questionnaire is already there. So all what Amanda has to do is pick up the questionnaire and send it. And majority of the time, in my environment, we have a portal. When we say a portal, just like a website. And it's there so that they go in there and go up and fill out the form. Any questions at this point?
Emmanuel, I have a question.
Yes, Maddie.
So in terms of the
IRQ.
In terms of that, would the third party have any input, or would that solely be filled out by the business unit?
It will solely be filled out by the business unit.
Okay.
Anybody?
But would they be able to go to the third party for any answers or any questions that they might find a bit?
They are not supposed to.
Okay.
Because all the questions that we are asking them are things that they already know.
Okay.
Does anyone know why they don't have to go to the third party? As at that point. Why do you think that it's not necessary for them to go to the third party?
I guess because we didn't decide to hire them yet, so there's no point in us going into details with them.
Okay.
Unless we decide to go with them.
That's true. Partially. Like, hey, I'm working with you, so today I'm on you, giddy, giddy, giddy. I want you to think about it. Why do you think that we call this inherent risk questionnaire? And you should understand what inherent risk is. And we are saying that when it comes to the inherent risk questionnaire, you don't have to go to the third party to ask any questions. Because we are expecting the business unit to be able to answer all these questions. And I'm asking that, why do you think so? Based on the name, inherent risk questionnaire, and what you understand about it.
Is it because we're solely focusing on the risk that is present prior onboarding the...
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it also exposes the company to its risks, being outside in case they don't onboard them. So like people can actually exploit those risks if they don't onboard them or something.
Yeah, so we just want to be able to determine the risk that is involved now. We are not looking for solutions yet, but we just want to know what is the risk involved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now, because we are trying to determine the risk and we don't want to go to the third party, and we don't trust the third party yet. Yeah. We don't trust the third party yet. For now, because the risk, what we are doing, we are trying to determine the inherent risk. We don't trust the third party to give us right information, but we trust the business unit that they will not do anything to jeopardize the security of the company. So give us this information, let us assess those information, and after you have assessed those information, then we move on to the next one. Rama, does that make sense? Okay. So that's why we do the vendor tiering assessment. Now, when Amanda receives those questionnaires from Rachel, then now Amanda needs to be able to analyze those questionnaires to find out that what is the risk that is involved. Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, what's Amanda's role exactly?
Amanda is a TPRM analyst, so Amanda is all of us on the call.
Okay. That's a third-party risk manager.
Yeah, or the third-party risk analyst, or the third-party risk assessor, any of them that you call it, or vendor risk assessor.
If I'm understanding this correctly, Amanda works with Rachel's company as the third-party risk manager.
Amanda and Rachel work in the same company.
Okay.
Amanda is in charge of. Amanda is a third-party risk asset manager there.
Okay.
Rachel is the head of security department.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Okay. Perez, are you with me today?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. Does that make sense? Michael, today I'm on everybody. Today I'm wild. Yeah. This is our, if not our last main section that we are going to have on Wednesday. Our session is going to be another section, but our last class is next week, and I want to be able to have interview prep. But this is something that almost everyone you have on your resume or your CV. So I need us to be able to master this. And Ghanaian man will tell you that you need to master this by heart. Like, you need to know it. You need to know the process. Every step of the process. Why are we doing it? And that's why I keep telling you, it's not just, I made a post this week that to be a TPRM analyst, you are not just doing copycat or copy and paste. Your job is to understand the risk that is involved. I'll share the post with you on LinkedIn. I posted it on LinkedIn. And then if you can find it and post it on a group for us, it's something that will really help you. And those are some of the things you can talk in an interview that will show people, to let them know that truly you have done this before. So you need to be able to know what is the risk that is involved. And that's what we are doing. So now we have gotten to the stage where Amanda have received the IRQ questionnaire. Amanda is reviewing the questionnaire before she gives it a rating. Now, in every organization, they have what we call triggers when it comes to the questionnaire. Let me see if I can expand this for you.
Amanda. So once Amanda has received the RIQ, how long does she have to fill it out? What's the turnaround time within the team that she has to get this done by?
Great
Just
question.
in case we get this question in an interview.
You get it in an interview too.
Yeah.
So when Amanda receives the IRQ questionnaire, now in some organizations they will say you need to respond. Amanda needs to do her job in 1 week, 5 business days. The reason why you'll be asked this is because every organization, when you go for an interview, the one that is interviewing you, that is managing the PRM, he wants to find out whether what you are doing in your company is something that they can learn from. Yeah, do you get it?
Yeah.
Maybe Shalom decides that, okay, Shalom company, they do it within maybe 72 business days or 72 hours or 3 business days. Meaning that, then the manager will start thinking, then what is it that Shalom is looking for that is making Shalom go fast like that?
Yeah.
And so they are always trying to improve their program. It's the same way that when Amanda received the first request, that is the DDR request, that one, it needs to go out in 24 hours. Because all Amanda is doing is sending out the questionnaire. Like, I have received it. Yes, save, send out the questionnaire. Or take this website, fill it out. So that one is 24 hours. Then we will give Shalom. We will give Rachel. We will give Rachel a week or 2 weeks to fill out the questionnaire and bring it back. Because we know that Rachel is very busy. So Rachel might be doing her stuff as a head of security. So Rachel, in 2 weeks, kindly complete this and bring it to us. Then after Rachel has then Rachel does the 2 weeks, bring it back to Amanda. Then now it's going to take Amanda her 5 business days to complete it. That the VTA or the vendor tiering assessment. Any questions as at this point? Now,
is it questionnaire or assessment? Sorry, or does it matter which one?
Now, the questionnaire is the actual questions. The assessment is everything that she's doing. And so the questionnaire is part of the assessment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if Amanda determines that, this is a low engagement, or after she has done a highlight, it comes out it's a low or moderate, she can end the assessment there. If she determines that it's a high or very high, then now Amanda needs to trigger what we call the vendor risk assessment. What is vendor risk assessment? This is the time that Amanda wants to now have a conversation with Michael A. and Michael Della. And what is Amanda saying? Saying that, okay, Michael A., we realize that you want to have a business with us. And so for us to be able to go ahead with the business that you want to have with us, we need you to complete this assessment. Then Amanda will send that email to Michael A. Now, Rachel will be in the know that, okay, Amanda is contacting Michael A because of this and this and this and this. Because he has to keep everybody in the loop. Then Michael A and Michael Della will go ahead and fill out those questionnaires and bring it back. They will have 30 days to complete the assessment. And we'll go into more into that. I just want to be able to let you know that they will take 30 days. Then after, we'll come back into it. Now, I want us to look at what are some of the triggers that will trigger a question to be a high or very high. And the first trigger, or one of the things that will trigger a question to be a very high, you see that over here, when you look at how the question is, over here, I've labeled it that if they answer yes, oh,
I'm not sharing my screen.
oh,
Please.
Shalom, you see, that's why I always need you in the class. So, yep. So, if there are responses, if you are asking them how difficult it is to replace this vendor, if they say that, oh, it's very difficult, automatically it's being triggered as a very high. Now, some of these questions, they are custom also based on the organization you belong to. And what do we do? But there are some questions that you cannot run away from, and that has to do with the compliance, technology risks, and the data disclosure. Now, if your company is going to be in regulation for either SOX or PCI, then you need to be a very high. Can you read the question or you cannot?
No, please.
Okay. Can you read now?
Are you saying that it has to be a high based on this template that we're looking at?
Yeah.
So
No.
you said,
Okay. I'm saying that. Can you read the question now?
no, it's still a bit blurry, please.
Oh. Why is this?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. Now the question is asking that which regulations are in scope of this engagement, and that is what Amanda is asking Rachel to answer. If Rachel says that, oh, these are security agencies, so they are not in scope for maybe SOX, or they are not in scope for PCI, but because they are a security agency, but Michael Della is doing cyber security, so Michael Della might be in scope for what? GDPR. Oh, then it needs to be a moderate. So there is a score that is attached to each of the responses. If it's a SOX or PCI, then it's supposed automatically to be a very high. Does that make sense? Michael A, you seem confused. Please talk to me. I want you to finish this class. This one, I don't want you to go and revise before you understand. I want you to understand before you go. So you talk to me. Let me know where your thought process is. You are muted if you are talking, Michael.
I think I'm a bit lost here.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. That's why we are here. Now, Michael, what I'm saying is that we are asking Rachel. Rachel wants to work with your company. And Amanda is asking Rachel that this engagement that they want to, or this business that or transaction they want to do with you, is it going to be in scope for a PCI? And PCI is another framework. Or a SOX, which is also another framework. Or a GDPR. Do you understand? Now, if Rachel tells me that, oh yes, it's going to be in scope for maybe PCI, or SOX, automatically will be a very high. Why? Because PCI and SOX require us to report all our 4 parties. And it's requiring us that all our 4 parties are also audited. And so meaning that on that note, we need to make sure that all the 4 parties have gone through that. Michael, does that make sense? Now, if it's in scope for GDPR, it will okay, but it's not going to be a very high. And so each of the response have a score that is attached to it. GDPR could be a 10 points. SOX will be, let's say, 70. PCI, 70. So, and maybe the threshold for very high is what? 70. Then after everything, then you come to the next question. Will any portion of this engagement or service be outsourced as part of this agreement? Now, if they say yes here, meaning that, okay, then now we'll come and look at our logic. If they say yes, it's a moderate or a medium. If they say no, it's low. Then we'll come back again. Will any of these data, customer data or patient's data, be stored in the cloud as part of this engagement? Meaning that are they going to process people's personal info? That's what everyone was trying to ask. And they say yes. Oh yes, they are going to do that. If they say yes, it's falling within the moderate. And so then now the score keeps accumulating. Michael, talk to me. Where are you confused? And let me help you. Because today I'm with you. Today you have to unmute yourself throughout because I'm having a class with you. Please let me help Michael. Okay, a brother needs help.
Sorry, man, what was the question again?
So I was asking that we are saying that if they are going to process PI, then it's a yes. Then now the score starts accumulating. That score may be a 5 or 2. Now our logic is telling that if you are going to process PI, then it's supposed to be a moderate engagement. And I'm asking that it looks like Michael is confused. So can Michael explain? Can Michael let me know if he's confused or what is it that he doesn't understand? And then I can help him explain it to him. Or is the whole process of the questionnaire is what is confusing you?
The whole process.
Okay. Shalom, what do you have?
It's also confusing me.
The whole process.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't understand how we got in.
Okay.
You might also try something. I'm not sure if that might help.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm understanding you clearly, it feels like there is like a threshold for each of these frameworks that a third party has to assess in order to trigger like a moderate or high security risks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I think if the way you're explaining it, it's based on each and every framework, there might be a high trigger based on like the requirements each and every framework requires. So if it's like PCII, it's moderate. If it's like SOX, it's very high. If it's the GDPR-C, it's moderate. And I think maybe the only way you can probably understand the triggers is when you understand what the framework entails. So the framework kind of like helps you understand where the trigger points will be. So if for like a third party risk assessment and maybe you're having like a fourth party involved and there is more loops or like there is more like hindrances for the fourth party or it has to release its information based on maybe the SOX, then the trigger is very high. But if you don't have to go through so many loops and it's like pretty much manageable, then maybe it's moderate. Is that what you're trying to?
It's similar to what I'm trying to communicate. Yeah. Now, okay, so Michael and Shalom, what we are saying is that Amanda wants to be able to have an idea of the kind of business or engagement that Rachel is going to have with Michael A and Michael Della. Okay. Now, Amanda needs to determine what is the risks involved in this. Is it a low risk? Is it a moderate risk? Or is it a high or very high risk?
And Amanda is the TPRM
Analyst. Yes, please. Does that make sense so far? And so Amanda will send this questionnaire to Michael. And I'm talking about the questionnaire, this questionnaire.
Which questionnaire is this, please?
The IRQ questionnaire or the inherent risk questionnaire.
Okay.
And as the name goes, inherent risk. The risk that is involved before we put in controls.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing here with you is that I'm going through the questions with you, trying to help you to understand what is the rationale. Why is it that this question will rate as a high or this question will rate as a low? Now, all these questions.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Amanda. Is Michael in this?
Pardon?
Is Michael in this? So we're going through this with Michael, did you say?
No.
Agency.
Nope. We are having a conversation with Rachel. We are not going with Michael. Michael.
With Rachel, sorry.
Yes.
And she's head of security.
Yes.
Okay.
In the same hospital or in the same company. Arama, you had a question here.
I was just, same question as Shalom.
Okay. So we are having the conversation that we are having is with Rachel, who works, all of us work in the same company. Forget about Michael Della and Michael A. We have not gotten to them yet. We want to be able to understand what is the risk that is involved before we go ahead to Michael Della and Michael A.
Wow.
And these are, Perez, go ahead.
So basically what you're saying is you wanted to know what the risk is for the business you're going to be doing with Michael Della and Michael A.
Exactly.
But Amanda is the one confirming or
determining
doing
that.
the questionnaire to
So
check
she's basically
to take the
doing the
boxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's basically like, Amanda, you're the one that wants to use the company. Tell me what they entail, basically.
Rachel wants to use the company. Amanda is telling Rachel, hey, Rachel, you want to use these companies. Tell me what.
So she's the analyst, so she's technically.
Oh yeah, Amanda. Yeah, she's telling. Okay, so she's telling Rachel. Okay, you want to use this? Let me know what it entails.
Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For Amanda to do that, and for it to be standardized across the whole organization, we decided that let's develop a questionnaire or a template that we are going to use to do that. That template or questionnaire is this questionnaire that we are looking at. Why? Because there might be 5 TPRM people on a team. Maybe we have Manny, we have Annette, we have Sheila. They don't know what questions to ask. And we want to make sure that everybody in the organization is asking the same questions. Because we will also be audited at a point in time. And so we decide we have this questionnaire, fill it out. Now the questionnaires are a yes and no answer. The only part that you allow them to write something is when they are describing the engagement. But apart from that, it's a yes and no. Or like it's a multiple choice. Let me put it that way. Because it's a multiple choice, there is a score that is attached to each of the questions. And so every response that you select has a certain point that is attached to it. So as you are filling it out, that point is also being accumulated. Does that make sense? Please, are you with me?
Yes, sir. Mano.
Yeah.
That's the point. Make it a low or a high.
Yes. So in our organization, we will set a standard that if you answer the questionnaire and your score is 70 and above, it's a high or very high. If it is 60 to 70, it's a high. If it's 60, 50 to 60, it's a what? It's a moderate. If it's below 50, it's a low.
Emmanuel,
Yeah.
so this means every third party you work with, the tiering or the threshold system would vary depending on the services or products they provide.
Yes, and based on your organization's what? Your organization's policy.
Okay.
Because maybe we are an organization that we already have, we feel like we have a lot of controls in place to protect our environment. So when maybe it comes to vulnerability, we don't mind. Do you understand? But maybe when it comes to something else, or maybe when it comes to physical security, we care about it. So if you are bringing physical security, we'll see that people who are doing more physical security will have a high threshold than people who are doing vulnerability. So it depends on the organization, but that is the logic behind it. Any questions so far, please? So, Michael, you understand me to the point where we are saying that there's a score that is attached to each of these. Now, the score that we have in there is what is rather going to determine whether it's a low, moderate, or high.
Yeah.
And so that is why we have these questionnaires to answer. So over here, you can see that they have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and non-critical. And you see that these are the score logic. If it's a mission critical, they say that it's 100. And that is a, we are asking if the business is and they say it's mission critical, then the point is 100. If it is maybe a tier 1, they say it's a 50. Okay, no problem. Sorry. Would the third party provide financial, or the third party provide or support Fort IC financial reporting? If they say yes, it's 100. If they say no, it's a 0. Does that make sense? Now, please, any questions up to this point? I just want to make sure we are all on the same page and we are not moving there. This is the easiest interview you will ever get. I'm telling you.
What's another question?
Yes, go ahead.
So, this is 100. So then what
Yeah.
is the overall score? Because you said that 70 is the threshold for.
Now, meaning that this organization has said that maybe if it's a high, it could be like 1,000. If you have 1,000 or 2,000 points.
Okay.
So, all depends on the organization. Instead of the 100 or instead of the 50, some organizations can say, oh, highly restricted is 5. Restricted is what? 1. And confidential is 0. Do you understand?
Yeah.
If they do that, then now they are reducing. It's just a number of zeros that have been added. Please, any questions? Okay. Now, I want to go through some of the questions with us for us to be able to understand, oh, what frameworks are generally used to set up the IRQ. Now, the IRQ doesn't have a specific framework, but the frameworks that most of the questionnaires are using, ISO 27001, the NIST 800, PCI, but just for the IRQ, they don't have a specific one for it because there's now, the vendor risk assessment is where you have the frameworks for it. I hope that makes sense, Madi. Now, what is they are asking that what is the highest classification of business data that is involved in this service or engagement? So then, highly restricted, restricted, or confidential. Now, for you to know what the highly restricted and restricted means, this is it. Highly restricted are data that is related to maybe development of new drugs, medical devices, or reorganization of departments. Meaning that those are highly restricted information. Restricted information has to do with audit reports, SOX texting, documentation. Then confidential has to do with data that is available in the company's address book. Now, we are saying that they are both security agencies. One is cyber security and one is physical security. So the people who are doing physical security will go for what is confidential. Why? Because employee, you'll be able to write, but if your people who are going for the cyber security will be highly restricted. Does that make sense? Or do you understand the point I'm making? Shalom, I've added you to it, so please.
Yeah, Emmanuel, can you make it bigger, please?
Yeah, it's blurred still. Okay.
Thank you.
So we are asking that what is the highest classification of business data? Not personal data. This is business data. And we have defined it right here. And we are saying that those that are doing cybersecurity, they will be involved in, obviously, IP addresses. Obviously, data that is related to the company. So we want to classify them as highly restricted. But those that has to do with confidential, we have to classify them as what? Those who have to do physical security. So Michael Della is doing our physical security. So for physical security, you see that they will need address data for the employees. Because every employee is coming in, you need to be able to do a sign-in sheet. The physical security people are the ones that are checking those things. Do you understand the point I'm making now? You need to show your ID for them to know that you work here. When you swipe your badge or when you use your badge, your name and your picture comes in for them to validate yes, it's you before they open the door for you. Those are the job of the physical security. So we can see that those are also what? Confidential. So physical security is confidential, but those that have to do with cyber security is what? Becomes highly restricted. Do you understand the point I'm making now? Okay. Or if you don't understand it, let me know you don't understand it, then we'll go over it. Today we are not leaving anybody behind. Okay. And so when it's highly restricted, we say that it's 50 points. Then you add the 50 restricted, then we add the restricted. Then we go to the next question. Now, the next question is, this is 15D, meaning that there's a 50. So let's start from 15A. Will the third party store, process, transmit, or access personal data information, or PI? Yes or no, belonging to the organization's employees or customers? When it comes to physical security, yes, they are going to, because they will see it. Yes. When it comes to cyber security, yes. Okay. If they are going to, if he says yes, he says unscored, and no, 0. Maybe the reason why he's saying there's supposed to be a score that is attached there, it's likely going to be a 20. Oh. Forgive me. So when you select that, that is what it means. Now, if yes, come to 15A, please provide the name of the privacy contact. Select the highest personal data classification. Then now you need to come and select what is the highest data classification. Is it data type 1, data type 2, or data type 3? Data type 1 is just information of the business. Data type 2 is the information of the business plus the date of birth or year or month. They are not going to have access to all those kind of information. Data type 3, data of patients, government, and the SSN, they don't need all those information. The only thing that they are doing is data type 1. Then that one just comes to data type 1. Then now you come here, then you come and then 15C. How many individuals will be stored, processed, or otherwise? Then now you come and put the number of people. Then only show and require if data type 3. So meaning that if you selected data type 3, then they will ask you this question. If you don't select data type 3, you don't ask you this question. Then now you go to the other group of questions. Would a third party solely use physical or virtual PC to access information? It says yes or no. That one also comes in. If it is a yes, 0, no, 100. Why? This is the question that I'm asking you. Why? The one I've located blue. Why is it that if you select yes, it's 0, and if you select no, it's 100? I'm waiting for you. Michael A, I'm calling you first, so please prepare yourself. Okay, Michael Della, go ahead.
I think because the information is limited within the networks of the company, within the networks of Victor's company, so it's more controlled.
Okay.
That is for yes, and if it's no, then it means if information is being routed through different networks and different, I mean, both physical and virtual PCs, then it means like it's actually more open and can be exposed to attacks, or like the vulnerabilities are higher, so definitely handed.
So now let me make it practical for you. So Michael Della, who is in charge of our physical security, when they come, they use our laptop, the company's laptop, to do everything that they have to do. Michael, are you with me? Because Michael Della uses our physical laptop and the things that is ours, they don't go with it. When they close, they just leave everything there. But when you, Michael A, uses cybersecurity, you are using your own laptop for your organization. So our information is being transferred to another device. It's like somebody who comes to your house and comes and plays with the toys that are in your house, compared to somebody who will come and bring their own toys and come and play in your house. Does that make sense? Yeah. If you are using our laptop, then now we realize that, okay, your system, then we can assure ourselves that our system is secured. But if you are using someone else, or if you are bringing your own laptop, we are not sure. And so we need to put measures in place to make sure that we are protecting ourselves. Does that make sense to us now? Okay. And so if that happens, then now that is why we will say that yes, it's a 0 and no, it's 100. Then now we ask, is this third party managing part of our fourth IT network or our critical infrastructure service? Yes or no? It says that generally it's a no. Only in few cases will it be a yes. But for us, based on these two scenarios, what would you say? Or how would you respond? If you are Michael A, no, let's start for Michael D. Michael Della, if you are Michael Della doing our physical security, how would you respond to this question? Perez, are you with me?
Yeah, Mano.
Yeah. So if you are Michael Della, who is in charge of our physical security, how would you answer to this question? The one highlighted in red.
For the security agency?
Yeah. Just the physical security agency.
No.
Okay. Who else have been talking? Sheila, if you are Michael A, who is handling our cybersecurity agency, how would you respond to this question?
I'm sorry, I'm driving. I could barely see your screen.
Oh, that's fine. Oh, please go focus on your
Okay, thank you.
yeah, that's fine. Shalom. You that can see you are not driving, so you can answer our question for us.
Is a third party managing part of Voltage Network or to add to? Well, yes, cybersecurity.
Thank you.
No,
Now,
no, it's just
yeah.
just because they'll be using the computers.
Yes, because they are managing. We are saying that they are managing part of our cybersecurity for us.
No, it's not just the physical. Like Michael D.
Perez, you get it.
No.
So we are saying that Michael A is going to be managing our cybersecurity for us. They are doing cybersecurity. They are doing SOC. They are the ones who are monitoring all the traffic that is coming into our server and all those things. And the question is,
I didn't hear that bit.
oh, okay, that's why. Okay, sorry about that. So the question is also meaning that they are going to be managing. So it's a yes for them. Now, if this is a yes, automatically you know that questions like that, what is it saying? 100. Meaning that they are heading towards a high or very high assessment. Michael A, please, I'm back to you again. Are you okay so far, or you have questions? Please, let's go for it.
I'm okay.
Are you sure? I beg you. Yeah. Okay. Please don't think that you are delaying us. That's why we are here. And for me, I say this because you see, if you have understanding of this, the whole vendor recs process is easier. The whole vendor recs process is easier. So please, let's try as much as possible to be able to have a better. This is a conversation the hiring managers will have for you. Will have with you. Because that is their challenge they are also facing. Their vendor recs inherent risk questionnaire. So, and you are talking to anybody, they always want to share their problems with you. so it's going to come out. Now, we are asking the next question: would a third party maintain a persistent network-to-network connection to your to Fort IT for this engagement? Based on what we are saying or we are discussing here, we can say that yes, it's going to maintain a persistence based on for Michael A. But Michael D, no. Michael A, does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we are saying that would a third party provide internet web services or hosting external public facing websites? They say yes. If it's yes, then now that also accumulates 25 points. Now, one thing that I want to be able to draw your attention to here. These questions, because you are answering yes to this, you see that over here it says yes to IT. Meaning that when we get to the third party assessment or we are talking to the vendor, we need to send them what we call IT questionnaire. I'll explain more into that. I don't want to confuse you more. So, we have talked about data technology risks. We have talked about data. Now, let's look at the regulatory ones. The regulatory ones were where you were confused. Now, we talked about which one was in scope, and I explained that one also. Our customer is going to provide, customer is going to process credit card, yes. The job of the analyst, okay, based on this, is to be able to analyze to see that if you tell me that, hey, I'm going to use your virtual private network, if Rachel fills this out and says that they are going to use our virtual private network, and the answer is yes to the question number 11, but comes back and come and tell us that, they are going to provide internet web serving services. How is that possible? The job of the analyst is to be able to make sense out of what Rachel is saying based on their responses. So if somebody like Michael Della, who says he's doing physical security, comes and says that yes, he's going to process PI. Okay, he's going to process PI. But would Michael Della need access to our environment to be, or need a persistent network-to-network connection right here? No. Because he doesn't need it for anything. Does that make sense to us? Shalom, please, are you with me? You are not with me.
I am.
But do you understand?
I had a question.
Okay, I'm listening.
From before. So, you know, if you scroll up, please, I think it's question 10 for the regulations and yeah. So, you know, with this question, you said if it has SOX or PCI, that it would automatically be a high, right?
Yep.
So does that still relate if it's, say, for example, is GDPR, PCI, and then HIPAA, for example, is it still a high?
Yeah. As soon as PCI comes in, as soon as SOX comes in, it's still going to be a high.
Okay. Okay. Can you explain what you were explaining before, please? Because I didn't catch it.
Okay. What I was explaining before is that if Michael Della tells you that, hey, this engagement is going to have SOX, it is your job to be able to see that, Michael Della, what do you mean? You said you're a physical security guy. Why are you going to involve SOX?
Okay.
And that is the job of the analyst. You don't just take what they have told you.
You have to make sense of it as well.
Thank you. So that is why we see that CPRM is not just checkbox or copy and paste. The analyst needs to be able to understand what is in there, make sense of what is in there, because if anything happens to the organization, you are the one that is signing off on it. Rachel, are we okay? Okay. Now, after we have filled this out, now our score will come in. Now we say that, okay, Michael Della, based on the responses that we got, Michael Della is a moderate. But Michael A came to us as a very high or critical. And so with Michael Della, what do we do? With Michael Della, then now we need to be able to close the assessment. And therefore, Amanda will reach out to Rachel and say, hey, Rachel, thank you so much for filling the questionnaire. I've reviewed the responses. I've done my assessment. And it came out that Michael Della is a moderate, and therefore, you can go ahead with the engagement. Does that make sense? That's what some organizations do. Some organizations will now go to what we call security scorecard.
Emmanuel, just a quick question before you get to that. In terms of this process, does it have to be done manually, or is there software that we can import these questionnaires in that kind of does the scoring for us?
There is a what do we call it? There's a software that will do everything for you. But there are some companies who doesn't have the money, and therefore they do the questionnaires manually. Yeah. So then now all these score, they will have so it will calculate it. So by the time you finish, you see that over here, then it will be like, okay, it's 750. So they will have a score that is there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep. Now, if you find yourself with a company that they are doing well, then now you realize that they already have those things, so you don't have to you don't have to worry yourself to do those calculations. You just click what do you call it? Close, or then it will close everything, end the engagement. Then you already have the email that is also in there, so it will go ahead and add all those things to it, and it will send it out for you.
Emmanuel, quick one. So Rachel's decision to either go for Michael A or Michael Della is based on this report.
Yeah, it will be based on this report, based on what they are having, based on what is going on. And remember that we are saying that. No, let me take it back again. Rachel's decision to go, we were going to advise Rachel that, hey, based on what we realize, Rachel is not choosing between the two. Rachel is going with the two of them because one is doing cybersecurity and one is doing what? Physical security. So over here, Rachel is doing the two. Now, we want Rachel to make her decision on who or what and what he wants before we go ahead and do, before she brings them to us. Why? Because we don't want to waste time to do an assessment on somebody that you are not sure about. Do you understand the point I'm making?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rachel will make up that decision. But we can advise Rachel that, hey, because of what we have realized, this is not what do you call it? This is not safe for you, so don't do that. Or because of what we found out, we don't think that this vendor is the one that you should go with. If there's another one, look at other options. Then Rachel have to go ahead and see if there are other options that she wants to look at. Or she can insist that that's the same vendor based on the organization and the authority that you have in the organization. In my organization, if we say no, it's a no. But I have organizations where if we say no, we have to take it to what we call an SPC meeting for them to decide the final decision. If we say no and Rachel says yes, then now they want us to come and all of us to come and defend our case. Why do I think it's no? Then they will make up their decision based on the two that we are all saying. Does that make sense? Hello? Please, are you okay with... Do you get the point I'm making? Hey, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Now, we want to get into the other aspect. Now, if you go ahead and it tells you that, oh, it is a low or moderate, in some organizations, they will take you to what we call a security scorecard. What is security scorecard? Why is it not showing here? Okay, security scorecard is a company. Now there are about 4 or 5 different types of these companies. We have security scorecard, we have BitSight, Verminder, AppGuard. There are a lot of them. Cyber GRX, Process Unity. Now, what they do is that this is a different company. What they do is that they check the website of companies to determine their security posture, to determine their level. So majority of the time in my company, if it's a low or moderate, now you come to the security scorecard, then you come and search for the vendor or the name of the company. This is a trial version and I'm trying to see if they are going to allow us, but it looks like it's not. But you come to the security scorecard, if it was allowing us, then it will allow us to be able to search for the name of a company. Let's say, which company? Barclays Bank. Let me see if it's going to come up. But that's what they would have made us do. They would have made us search for the company. Then it's going to give us a report. Of their security posture. This is not allowing me, but I'll see if I can get a copy of how it looks like. Pardon?
Will Chase Farm work?
No, I think because it's a trial version, they are not allowing you to do that. let me look at it. Because it's a trial version, they are not allowing me to do that. Now, what they will do is that they will give you a report of the security posture of that organization. Then the report can show that whether it's a, okay, let me see, it looks like this way. The report can tell you whether it's a low, moderate, or high. Let me see, scorecard reports. Awesome. So this is how it can look like. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I just Googled it so you can see when you get a chance, you can also Google it. I'm not getting the actual reports, but I'm trying to see which one. Yeah, okay. So we'll give you the name of the website, everything that has to do with it, then tell you that, oh, their system is an A. Then it will tell you maybe this and this is wrong, this and this is wrong, this and this is wrong. They'll give you all those details. But you have to pay for it. That's the company and how they are also making money. And it's a lot of money that they are charging to be able to have access to those kind of data. And so the security scorecard becomes like, it's giving you information about a third party. So they'll give you the company score. They will tell you which part of their system is even not safe. It will give you all those kind of information. Then afterwards, you'll be able to go ahead and make up your decision. And that is when the system is a low or moderate. In my organization, this is the secondary thing that we do. But now if the system comes as a high, then now we need to have a different conversation. If the system comes out as a high, then now Amanda once again will contact Rachel and say that, hey Rachel, when it comes to Michael A's company, it is a high or a critical. Because it's a high or critical, I need to be able to have a conversation with them. That conversation is what we have put into questionnaire form, that, okay, they need to be able to answer these questions for me. Then I will evaluate these questions and give them and determine their security or their engagement risk level. Do you understand? If it's a moderate or low, we'll end the assessment there. If it's a high or critical, then now we go ahead to have a conversation with who? With a third party. And so this is where we are sending a third party the email that, hey, we need to have a conversation with you concerning your security system. We know you are trying to come on board with us and we are excited to be able to, but we need to be able to complete this assessment. And so first, we'll give them this to fill out. Then they will fill out everything that is here. They are going to fill it out. And all these questions are also the yes and no. Yes. No. Not applicable. And all of them will have what? Scores that is also attached to it. And the score that is attached to it is what is going to give us the ratings, whether it's a low risk, a moderate risk, or a high risk.
Sorry, Manuel. What was the name of this questionnaire that we sent to the third party to?
This, we call it the vendor risk questionnaire. Now, the company that is really in charge of doing a lot of this, they call them shared assessments. And so they call this risk assessment SIG-Lite questionnaire. So this is
What would be the difference between the due diligence and then the vendor risk assessment?
everything that we are doing is under the due diligence.
Okay. So the due diligence applies to the vendor, the company itself before it goes to the vendor. Like it's all encompasses that.
The due diligence, yes.
Okay.
Hey, Rama, please, any questions?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused because you said something about there's a company that deals with this.
Yes. So that's what
So-
that's what I'm about to show you.
Okay.
Now, this website that I showed you, we call them, the company's name is Shared Assessment. What they do is that they develop questionnaires, vendor risk assessment questionnaires. Michael, people are making money. Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's somebody's job. So the questions that they develop, they call it SIG-Lite questionnaire. If I show you the price, you don't even believe it. Yeah,
4,000.
to have access to their questionnaires. Just the questions for 1 year. Do you know what it means? The questions are there. So any company that wants to use it, you come and they give you the questions. So it's not like they are going back and no. The questions are already there. Yeah, this is their subscriptions.
And is it the same questions all the time?
Yeah, it's the same.
So if I took it for a year and then I copied it, I wanted and made my own company.
So what they might say is that every year they'll come up with new updates.
Okay.
That's for me. I think basically that's the difference.
Well, Emmanuel, do they really come up with new updates?
If you are paying for 2 years, they need to come up with new updates. But I don't know the whole contract. I don't know whether you can only use the questionnaire for 1 year, and if you decide not to, you have to stop using it. Which I think that's what might happen. I know you are thinking I already have the question, so why do I have to stop using it? Yeah. So many companies, they customize it. So they customize the questionnaire. It's for making my it's okay. May God help us. So the name of the questionnaire is what we call SIG-Lite questionnaire. It's an interview question, so don't forget. They're asking you that which questionnaire does your company use. You use your SIG-Lite questionnaire. I tried to find it online. I search. I didn't get the original copy. Everybody have customized it to fit. Yeah. You will never get the original copy because they don't allow people to share their questionnaires. But yeah, so that is what they use, SIG-Lite questionnaire. So please don't forget, if you are asking an interview, which questionnaire that your organization use is SIG-Lite questionnaire, SIGLITE, SIG-Lite questionnaire. Any questions, please? And this is how the SIG-Lite questionnaire looks like. This is why I found it online. So it's a lot of questions. A lot of questions. Now, what organizations do is that they customize the SIG-Lite questionnaire. At times, they don't want to send all these questions to them because it's a lot of questions. So you select some. Let's say when you come to access control, okay, I need AC2. Then they will highlight AC this. Okay, these are the ones that I need. Then you select it. Now, and they put all together to call what we call the core questionnaire. So in an interview, when you are being asked, you can communicate it that, okay, even the SIGLITE questionnaire that you use, you have customized it to fit your environment. So you have the core questionnaire that you send them. Now, if the IRQ tells you that they are going to do with your IT department, then you send them what we call the IT questionnaires. You see over here, this line here talks about questionnaires that it needs to trigger. Now, if they say that they are going to process PI or it's something that they are going to process, then you see that your data privacy will come in. So we have IT questionnaire, we have OT questionnaire, we have data protection, we have privacy questionnaires, and supply chain. Please write them down. IT questionnaire, OT. IT has to do with information technology. Then OT has to do with operational technology. DP has to do with data protection. Then the P has to do with privacy. And those... Go ahead, Edwin.
You repeat it. All of it.
IT questionnaire, OT questionnaire, data protection, privacy, and supply chain questionnaire.
But I said the OT is something. Operations.
Operational technology. So the question that has to do with company that has to do with manufacturing. That's when our OT comes in. But the core questionnaire is basic. You don't change anything out of it. But the remaining ones is what you are going to change other things out of it. Any questions, please?
So, okay, so they send all of these questionnaires, basically.
Yes.
And in all of these questionnaires, there's also one core questionnaire which you don't change. So that's not the one that you edit out. You just send that one anyway.
Yeah. So the core questionnaire, if it's a high of critical, you send a core questionnaire.
Okay.
But if
and then
the other ones are triggers, so if they answer that, okay, they are in regulation for maybe GDPR and PCI. PCI means that we need to add our IT, DP, and a privacy questionnaire to it.
Yeah.
If they say that they are doing data privacy, we need to add our privacy questionnaire to it. Data protection, DP questionnaire.
Okay, so it all depends on what they've answered in the
IRQ. In the hierarchy, yes. That is what is going to trigger those other questions.
So following on from the IRQ comes the SIGLITE. Which one is the core one?
The SIGLITE is all the questions together. It's one big questionnaire. Now, out of the SIGLITE is what we have: the core questionnaire, the IT, the OT, the data privacy. So the core questionnaire means that you have you have like a basic questionnaire. Then if they are going to have access to your infrastructure, they add the IT. If they need the operations, you add OT. And so in that sense.
Okay.
One quick question: Who comes up with a RIT the RIQ questionnaires. I mean, I know it will be, if we are still basing off that analogy, it will be Amanda, but like, is there like a preset questionnaire that normally exists, or you have to create?
When you purchase a shared assessment questionnaire, they have all those things as part of it.
Okay. And that would be another SIG-like questionnaire thing, right?
Yep.
Okay, right.
Sorry, Emmanuel, can you just repeat the answer that you just gave Michael, please? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that the IRQ is also part of the SIG-like purchase that you made. The shared assessment, they have all those things as part of it.
Okay.
They are meeting all your needs. Any questions? Okay. And so then you send this questionnaire to them, they'll respond to it and bring it back. Then Amanda once again comes ahead to be able to do what? To review the answers that they have given. If the answers goes contrary to how she expects them to answer them, because all these answers that you have, all these questions you are sending them, you are expecting a certain specific answer from them. If they don't answer it based on that, then you start asking follow-up questions. Then now that is when you start asking them follow-up questions. Does that make sense? Just to make sure that you have gotten, if they say that maybe you are asking them, do they have VPN? They said no. So how do they make sure that everybody that is logging into their system are secured? They said they just do two-factor authentication. You can go ahead and have them. Okay, so how are we sure that you guys will protect our system? They have no idea. Can they use our VPN? They said no, they cannot. Amanda can say that, hey, I don't think that is something that we should go ahead with. If the company wants to accept the risk, they can accept the risk and go ahead. Then when in the contract, you see that they will state it in there that if we get hacked through this and this and this and this, you'll be solely responsible. And that's where the legal department comes in. That's why we need legal. Do you understand? That's why the life cycle, you need a legal, because the legal are going to draft the contracts. But they will make sure that they review the assessment report and add certain clauses from the assessment report into the contract. Before they go ahead and sign it. Any questions? Okay. Now, time is fast, friends. What is our helper? Now, in our quest to do that also, one of the things that we are also doing is that we need to also review whether if they say that they are in line with SOC. We ask them that, okay, can you submit your SOC 2 report for us so that we can review your SOC 2 report? Do you have ISO certification? Can you give us a screenshot of the ISO certification? So you take all those things. And when you take all those things, you need to be aware that you need to review them and make sure that they are in line with what your organization wants from them. Then you review them before you give them the go ahead and finish your assessment. So in an interview, they can ask you, what kind of reports do you review from them? You can let them know that we take the ISO certification if they have HIPAA certification, based on the engagement. And all this is only when they are high or critical. When we meet on Wednesday, we are going to talk about the SOC report. We are going to go into all those things. But I think that if I start now, I will not be able to finish. So Wednesday we'll finish. Wednesday is not going to be a presentation. Wednesday, please give me. We need to have it has to be a 2-hour class. So please bear with me and let's be able to finish it up. Please, does that make sense? Then they will take those reports and review those reports. When we meet on Wednesday, I'm going to go through the SOC 2, PCI, then GDPR. So Wednesday is going to be a full teaching section. I know that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. So I have to teach it twice. So if you think you are struggling, I'm struggling more than you because I have to do the UK and I have to do the US. But it's better because next week Saturday when we are meeting, next week Saturday is our last class. It's going to be our interview preparation. We are going to go through our interview prep. So next week Saturday you'll be, and from then you are done with me. So you don't have to wake up. But that's where the actual work also begins. Because that's where you start. You need to be those who are waiting to revise their notes. Then the resumes you have to you contact Annette. Then she'll work through and get you all the resumes, the CVs. Then we start building our LinkedIn profiles. But next week Saturday I'm going to talk about all those things. Please, any questions? So if I'm asking you that, give me a summary of what I've talked about when it comes to the vendor tiering, to the vendor risk assessment. Shalom, Mr. Emmanuel, are you going to do this right now? Yes, I'm going to do it. Alice, you can give us, okay, let me start with a summary. I know I was teaching you, so, or when you go for an interview and you're asked, can you tell us about your vendor risk assessment process? Yes, definitely I can do that. Now, when it comes to the vendor risk assessment process, it starts with a due diligence request. So the business unit or the business owner is going to send a due diligence request to the TPRM team, requesting for them to onboard a vendor. The TPRM team is going to do the intake, then afterwards send them the inherent risk questionnaire. Now, when they receive the inherent risk questionnaire, the business unit will have 10 days to be able to respond to the questionnaire. And they are going to respond to the questionnaire and send it back to the TPRM team. And this is where the TPRM analyst will receive it and be able to do the vendor tiering assessment. Now, in this assessment, that he's be able to validate the responses. And for us, we don't do just a checkbox because we want to be able to understand and make sense out of the engagement. So you need to be able to understand the engagements. Now, we are also asking them that are they going to process PI? If they are going to process PI, would they need access to our system? Are they going to use our virtual platforms? Or how are they going to be able to, or do they need consistent network to our environment, connection to our environment? After they have done that, then now I'll rate it whether it's a low, moderate, high, or critical. If it's a low or moderate, we just check their security scorecard to make sure that they are not in D or F and validate it. If not, we go ahead, if it's a high or very high, and have a conversation with the vendor. Now, I'll send them my SIGLIGHT questionnaire, and I'll give them 30 days for them to be able to respond. We send weekly emails as a way of reminder also to them. Then they need to respond to the questionnaires in 30 days. If they respond to the questionnaires, I now have to review the questionnaires to be able to make sure that I'm validating each of the responses that they gave to make sure that they are in line with our company's policies and procedure. If I'm review it and I have any questions, I set up meetings to have those questions, to go through those questions, or send them an email, receive responses, and be able to save all the responses at the package. Then I'll go ahead and do the assessment, close the assessment, and send them the reports. And that's the vendor risk assessment process. So all the 2 hours that I'm talking is just this 3 minutes that is more important. Rachel, it's easy. Christian is running away because he knows I'm coming to call him.
I'm not. I'm here.
Emmanuel, take me under your wing, please.
I should take you under my wing, yeah. Not a problem, Michael. Just set time and let's go over it.
I just need to call you, and then you say this same thing again, and I'll just write it all up.
Don't worry, the recording is there, so you can go and listen and play back, and you get everything that I said. But you see, the steps is very easy. But what I want you to get is that I need you to be able to understand the process. If you understand how the process works, it's easy when you're talking about it. Don't try to memorize it. Understand the process.
Yeah, the process, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, business units wants to work with a vendor. What is he doing? They are sending a what? A request, a due diligence request. The TPRM team will receive the request. Then send them the inherent risk questionnaire. Then the business unit will fill out the inherent risk questionnaire. Send it back to the TPRM team. The TPRM team will receive it, review the questionnaire, and make sure that they are validating their responses and it makes sense. Then afterwards, determine whether it's a low, moderate, high, or critical. Then now, after they have done that, if it's a high or critical, they send it back to the third party to be able to have a conversation with the third party. And they will send the third party a signalized questionnaire. The third party will receive the signalized questionnaire, send it back to them. Then to be able to make sure that you review, then to be able to make sure that the responses are in line with the organization's policies and procedure. If that is if we are okay with it, we go ahead, then we close the engagement. Then now they start asking you questions. And now they will start asking you, so what are some of the questions that you send to the business unit? What are some of the questions that you send to the third party? And next week, I have a list of TPRM questions. I'm going to answer all those questions in the class for you. So we'll volunteer somebody asking me the questions and how I'll go about those interview questions, and I'll answer all of them in the class for you. Then I'll give you my signing off package. I have what do you call it? An interview preparation document that I send to all my students. Mostly it's my signing off package that I give to my students. As a way of saying thank you for joining the class. It's a summary of almost everything that we have done under the Rex Manager framework. The likely questions you are going to be asked, how to respond to those questions. Then if I add a TPRM one to it to you, you are good. So you need to know those questions that they are going to ask you. How do you determine that this risk is high? Oh yeah, if they need access to our environment, it's a high risk. If they need it, it's a high risk. Any questions?
Got a question, please.
Yes, go ahead.
You know how you spoke about if it was high or critical, but or if they asked you, so if it was low or medium, what would you do?
If it's low or medium,
the scorecard.
Yep, you review the security scorecard. If the security scorecard is A, B, or C, then we can go ahead and close the engagement. If it's a D or F, I would want to look at all the issues that makes it D or F to have that conversation with the business that, hey, these are the risks that is involved with the third party. Do you also want to go ahead with it? But you can also take the security scorecard out, because I have companies who don't use security scorecard. I've worked with companies who didn't use it. So that's also a place that you can also take it. But you see, the more you talk about security scorecard, the more it gives you off as somebody who is what? Experienced in the field.
Okay. Thank you.
Key thing, always mention when you talk about security scorecard, let them know the security scorecard doesn't have access to the internal system. It only assesses what is outside.
Okay.
So for
I don't really understand that.
Pardon?
Can you elaborate, please? Sorry.
Yes. Now, security. Imagine that. Let's say that you own security scorecard, and you decide to come to my house, come and assess me. If I'm not giving you access into my house, you are only assessing me based on what you are seeing around my house, not in my house.
Okay.
So on the website, every company, before you can access the environment, they have firewalls. Or VPN. So you have to go to the firewall, or mostly they use VPN. So the VPN is like a tunnel that you go through to be able to enter their house. So as you are going through the tunnel, they are beating you, they just want to make sure that you are solid before, and they rip off every threat before you enter into the environment. The security scorecard checks outside. It cannot penetrate through the firewall.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Shalom. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions? So please, Wednesday's class is a full class. It's going to be a full class. So please, let's come prepared to be able to finish up the other frameworks that we have left. Then on Saturday we do the interview prep. All right. Let me stop.